You think this correction is your ally? You merely adopted the bear market. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the pump until I was a man. By then, it was nothing to me but blinding. Today we'll cover the current situation in the marketplace. What you should do. Should you be selling? Should you be exiting your positions? Should you be leaving this market? What is happening? Why I was telling you about all-time highs in May. New all-time highs for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and what actually happened. And what I am doing with my assets as well. And we will cover the current situation with Andy on Blast. We're only 2 days away from the airdrop, and some very, very interesting things are happening. Without further ado, let's start. First of all, with my Andy on Blast wallets, but not a single token sold at this stage. Because you know, as they say, you don't sell your Andy on Thruster, on a DEX on Blast. You sell your Andy on Binance. We will cover the current situation, we will cover what is happening, and we will cover why I am so bullish on what is happening right now. This shakeout is what's needed. The more explosive action you want, the more emotional early holders that are in profits you want to have out of the project. But let's focus on the market situation first. Is this something how you feel? Is that all you got? When the timeline is max bearish is when I feel most bullish. This is honestly how I feel to an extent as well. Crypto Kappa is actually buying altcoins here. I'm buying more altcoins here, not financial advice. Very interesting. We are way closer to the bottom than we are the top. Take a chance. This is a very, very interesting thought, because at the end of the day, you have to understand that no one the fuck knows what are they saying and what are they doing in this market. We are all playing poker right now. And on any market, because there are just too many variables, and some people are saying that, oh, we're going down because of this news, because we're going down because this country is dumping, oh, we're going up because this is happening. This is all fucking bullshit in the first place. There are too many events happening, and with 50-50 chance of going either up or down, you cannot ever understand the full combination of why things are either going up or down. Our base indicator is liquidity cycle. And following liquidity cycle, we are at the start of a liquidity cycle before explosion of liquidity into the ecosystem, which is timed exactly with the Bitcoin halving. That's why they're saying that Bitcoin is going up. Usually it's at all-time highs 1.5 years after Bitcoin halving. And the main reason for that is not because of the halving. The main reason for that is because of the global liquidity cycle. Because at the time how this asset is timed to global liquidity cycle, liquidity in the ecosystem is at its peak, which leads to people investing more and more into risk assets, which are crypto and which is Bitcoin in the first place as well. Right now, the bet that you will be making on altcoins, man, I don't see that we might be going heavily lower. And I will share my projections with you as well, where we might be going, what is happening, what I am doing personally with my altcoins as well. We've been saying the quiet part about dumping our Ponzi coins on normie retail out loud too much. We need to get back to line about this being the future of finance and digital freedom tech. This is very interesting because we definitely started to scream out loud that I will dump on you, I will dump on retail. Who the fuck would want to join this space if you're saying things like that? And too many people, they just started to focus on things being worthless, just speculation assets and things like that. We need to come back to the technology. We need to come back to the value. We need to come back to the adoption of Web3. I honestly think that the role of this in this market might be taken blast just through the way it's set up in the first place, just through the way it organized, just through the motives of the team as well. It's so crazy to see these things because I don't see like a lot of alternatives at this marketplace currently. When I'm thinking about Blast, I don't like thoughts like Ponzi, VC pump and dump, they're just not coming my way because I don't understand how the whole thing is set up. I don't understand real revenue sources. I don't understand where this money are coming from. On Blast, if 100% of transactions goes back to the developers, you can actually make transactions for free on your application for your users. One more time, retail, when they will be joining Blast and decentralized applications on Blast, they cannot even have like the wallet in the first place because The app can just allocate money for them to do transactions, and that's it. That's just so crazy in the first place. This is Web 2-like user experience in Web 3 because of the way the system is set up in the first place. We reap this week, book it. I honestly feel like this as well. Personally, this is just my personal feeling. I believe like we are hours away from the reversal. Hours, one more time. Some people are projecting like couple weeks and things like that. I have to risk some things myself to make sure that if we will be going into lower low, I will be safe because I don't want to get liquidated again, right? I just want to stay in my positions, right? At the same time, my personal feeling is that we will be reversing quite soon, quite swiftly. And last tweet I actually wanted to share from Crypto Skull, who is a trader from the last. And the last tweet I actually wanted to share from Crypto Skull, who is a trader from the last cycle I actually respect a lot. Stocks are at all-time high because indeed market is in good conditions for this rally. The only reason Bitcoin is performing like this is nothing than manipulation. There is no other justification for this price action that entities holding it down. But you can hold a ball underwater only for this long. However, you should play the game as well, and instead fearing, you should be DCing. I posted a Bitcoin chart yesterday and I can tell you a parabolic move to 74k is inevitable. So if you don't want to be caught up with your pants down, manage your psychology wisely. All these ups and downs are noise. If you really want to achieve financial freedom, you need to play this game as a marathon and not as a sprint. And this is something I honestly agree with. Right now we see negative funding, meaning that people are staying in shorts. And I think we are in a very, very interesting situation in the marketplace. At the time of me recording this video, Bitcoin is at $60,009. At the time of me recording this video, Bitcoin is at $60,940 at this stage. Yet Ethereum and some of the alts, they are actually holding quite well. This is so crazy to see in the first place because we remember this dump from like 70k to 65, 66. Alts just got obliterated. I get liquidated for 100k first on my SUI loan, some other things longs. It was probably 50 to 70, right? And right after that, I got liquidated on a 100k loan on big time on top of it. And right now, most of the funding is already negative, which means that people are staying in shorts. They're opening shorts at this stage. You're actually getting paid if you're opening longs currently. And speaking and thinking from the point of view of manipulator, I think what actually has happened is that they saw that there are a bunch of loans opened. They pushed the market a bit to convince a bit more people that we're actually going up. This is the time where I opened not only my big time loan, but this was the time where I was opening multiple more loans because I was quite confident we're going higher. Then they just dumped the whole. They essentially took all this money as profits for themselves through obviously shorting the market through the dump. I believe currently we are in the same situation. They're trying to persuade people that we are going lower, and they are trying to give these shorters a bit more money, like a bit more confidence that we are going lower, so they will make a bit more money until they will eventually reverse. Because when the funding is negative, by pushing market down, they are not making money because liquidations are working for longs, and when the market is negative, most of the market is actually shorting. So when they're pushing down and funding is negative, they are letting people to make money. This is not something that they want in the first place. The only reason to do that is to persuade a bit more people that we are going lower, so they will even open more shorts, so they will strengthen up their shorts, right? And obviously liquidate some longs, but at the same time we are already in negative funding. Therefore, I do expect reversal for these reasons in the first place. On top of it, we actually have a bunch of shorts opened. I believe the liquidity area is around $67,000 for BTC at this stage. Once we break that, once we will be here, we should be surging up heavier from that point because we will get a bunch of shorts liquidated and we will be getting a short squeeze right after that. And it's quite interesting that altcoins are holding very, very well at this stage. Like they're not moving much. I want to talk specifically about big time because we've seen this drop, right? Like this morning, my time, it dropped pretty much from 11.5 to 11.2. And since then, it's just going up, which is so crazy to see actually in the first place because I de-risked some of my big time longs. I actually added some margin, expecting that we might be actually printing new low. Because some people, they essentially see that we should be printing new low, and this would be like an end of this movement. So right now, maybe what the manipulator is actually doing, he's trying to show like a certain move up to make sure that people will open up loans so he can liquidate them on the new low. What I've done, I actually de-risked some of my big time loans through adding margin to them, and I set a limit order on longing big time around the levels of my liquidation. So if I would get liquidated on the current loans, new loan will automatically get opened on this instrument. But man, I'm just so bullish on this chart. And what's interesting is that if you would actually check out market cap chart, like it's way different. We have end of wave 1 here, and correction on this thing is not 90% as you have with the price chart. The correction here is around 67%, which is definitely not that great. I think this is one of the reasons of why Crash actually called this thing in the first place. He got fooled by this high FDV low float bullshit, right? But anyway, I do believe this asset will be doing very, very well, and I do believe we will be getting our leg 3, wave 3 for the gaming quite soon. And these assets, like, they're not overpriced, definitely. They are oversold at this stage on top of it. Some things like Pepe actually signalize to us that we should actually be printing new lower low, go a bit lower. Pepe is looking like it wants to print lower low around 0.09. And same thing we have on Solana. Solana actually terribly wants to come to 115. But these are the levels that a bunch of traders, a bunch of people on the marketplace, they actually see themselves as well. Like some people are even setting up limit orders to long Solana from 115. And whether or not we will get this level is actually quite hard to tell at this stage, because if the level is being seen by a bunch of people on the marketplace, there is a high chance that people will front run this level. What I can say definitely 100% for sure, that right now we are at a very, very great time to buy spot for altcoins. And some of you might say, Stan, but you told us 3 days ago to actually buy altcoins and max long things, right? We can check out what the prices were 3 days ago. It pretty much was 21st, right? We had 0.12.3 on big time. Right now we have 0.11.77. And I do believe that for a lot of alts, we did not have like large movement as well. Because after this huge capitulation, like right here, they don't have a lot of room to go down. And that's why I'm saying that most likely your upside right now is infinite. Your downside is like 30%. Worst case scenario. It's crazy how good this bet is at this stage. With all this sentiment that's going down, we kind of can say that we should print this lower low to scare people out. At the same time, Bitcoin is at $61,000. It is already printing lower low. Alts and Ethereum just don't seem to care at this stage, because everyone is expecting Ethereum season, and most people who are still sitting in the assets, they have a bit more experience. They did not sell, right? And I think they are thinking that this is just a giant manipulation. We should be reversing. And Bitcoin essentially printed a large head and shoulders pattern, reversed pattern on the chart as well. And you probably see a bunch of people bearish right now, like writing that we're going to $40,000. Best thing you can do once this price action will be over, once will result in us either going up or down, my bet is reversal upwards, and quite soon as well. What you can do is actually you can unfollow and unsubscribe anyone who was bearish at that time. I am very, very bullish altcoins currently. I do even believe that short term alts might outperform meme coins, just because they are very, very oversold at this stage. And meme coins, they might not look as this safe haven at this stage, and larger memes, they are overbought to an extent as well. It's also quite interesting that in this scenario where we're going down to 40k, like I have additional cash to input into the market. The prices, probably if we will be there, the sentiment would just be crazy. At the same time, the prices would be so juicy, so low. Man, I still believe there are a bunch of people with sidelined capital. Because you have to understand, the more lucrative the opportunity is, the more capital will actually be found to get injected into the market, because it would literally be free money in the first place. And I think very, very interesting thing happened in March and April. I think a bunch of bears actually capitulated to the market because they thought that we are going higher. And that's why we actually had our dump, because manipulator decided to wreck the bears in the first place. Unfortunately, some people felt the euphoria to a certain extent. I do think it was me as well. I was not taking a lot of profits. At the same time, it's very, very hard to be taking a lot of profits with meme coins in the first place because they're not following the overall movement of the market. Like Bobo was pumping when the market was already going down. So it's quite hard to actually be able to play this game with meme coins to get in and get out. It's probably just focused on a certain asset. It's probably just connected with a specific movement of a certain asset. So what I've done, I don't want to get liquidated in the first place. I'm staying in my longs. Certainly, I added some margin to the risk in case we would be seeing new low, right? I do expect if we would be seeing new low, this would be a very, very quick movement that will be bought up shortly, which will cause FOMO, people buying out, which will cause short liquidations, which will cause short squeeze, and we will be pumping up heavily, moving higher. And as mentioned, personally, I actually do not expect us to see a new low. I do expect for us to reverse quite soon. And altcoins, this is just the opportunity. And video that I actually published yesterday that did not get a lot of views. There is so much alpha there. It consists of pure alpha on how you actually outperform this market. Buying assets right now that did not see their wave 3 yet. They had a wave 1 this cycle already. This is the biggest piece of alpha you can only actually have. Narratives like this are gaming. You can say Sui ecosystem. I'm actually longing some things in Sui ecosystem as well. And you can easily find others. You can check out the charts. You can build trading pairs in comparison to the assets that were performing already. And just see the charts of things like big time in comparison to assets like Pepe and to some others. They're just at exact bottom. Pepe has heavily outperformed big time so far, but this does not mean that it will continue. In reverse, that actually means that there is a high chance it will get reversed right now. Just because of the fact that assets like Pepe had their explosive wave 3 move already, and assets like big time will only have them moving further. Let's check out the situation with AMD on Blast. With the market dump, we had a certain sell-off. Right now we are above this range, right now we are below this support. Let's see how the daily candle will close. We definitely had a lot of strong buy pressure from these levels. I do actually see everything happening as very, very bullish. I made a tweet on this and I would like to go through it as well. I think it's a very, very valuable information. I would like to explain on it as well. This is so bullish, we are consolidating in the current range and holding better than a lot of the memes out there. We just retraced 1 day price action. That's it. And let me explain why this is so bullish. You have to get familiar with the concept of changing hands. This is trick market makers are using to push assets up. Before each and every pump, they have to change hands, meaning replace all the holders with new holders, all the emotional holders, because you have to understand that older AMD on Blast holders, like guys who were buying like a 2 million, they're so hurt. They got fucked at least 2 times by projects grifting and vampire attacking this project in the first place. They are so hurt, which makes them emotional, which makes them sell. You need to understand these things. This is the edge. This is the edge on this asset. Why? Because all the holders are in profits already. Some of them will be selling into the pump, messing with it. So if you have all the holders and you are pumping right away with all the holders on board, what some of them will be doing? They will be selling into the pump. Therefore, they will be killing the pump in the first place or make it way heavier for the market maker to pump the asset. This is something that we saw a couple times already. We saw this pump first and we saw this pump as well. And all the holders, as they have more supply, some of them, they sold into this pump, resulting in us going lower. New holders, on the other hand, will get higher entry points. Therefore, they will be holding better, moving higher. This is a pure and simple logic. Last time when I was buying AMD on Blast, I was buying at 30 million market cap, right as we are at currently, with $50,000. And it makes total sense that if I was buying at 30 million market cap, I would be holding, if I'm a default holder, I would be holding at least till 60 million market cap, 90 million market cap, 150 million, because I want to make my access, I want to make I want to take out initials out, I want to take profits out if I am a default holder. This is a simple logic. The higher entry point you have for the asset before the pump, the better it is for the asset, because through pump, these people will be holding with some of the initial holders trying to sell into the pump because they're hurt, because they are emotional, because the market is going down, right? By the way, 0 tokens of Indian Blast were sold by me. I'm holding everything. As mentioned, you do not sell your Indian Blast on Thruster, you are selling your Indian Blast on Binance. How are they doing it? Speaking of how the market maker is changing hands in the process. By using market conditions, such as right now, shaking out people, by inflicting chop over the range. People are quite emotional because we're trying to break through this resistance quite some time already, at least 4 attempts, right? And we just recently got rejected one more time. Previous holders, like early holders of this thing that are emotional, they are even more emotional about the fact that we are not breaking the resistance yet. We are entering this chop, which is so bullish, which makes them to sell and get replaced with new people that will be holding moving forward. And they don't have this baggage, like emotional baggage of being hurt with this asset and things like that. It's an exciting asset in a great ecosystem, with a great airdrop, with a great narrative, with a great team, with great support, with great market makers, with great marketing and listings, and all these things combined. This is a great thing. It's just that previous holders, they have certain emotional baggage. By staying around core resistance levels and rejecting from it multiple times, playing with your emotions. This is something that's happening. And conditions of the marketplace, they're definitely helping the situation. We're trying to break through the last resistance several times already. Yesterday, we almost reached all-time high. It fucks with emotional holders, pushing them to sell on the rejections. Speaking of the initial holders of the asset, some of them. But what we see instead, high buy pressure. Despite a lot of meme assets going down, we bought a lot of this down action already, and I expect for it to get bought moving forward as well. From silent capital plus current holders wanting to increase their backs. Classic playbook. I'm so bullish on this consolidation because the more we change hands, the higher we will pump. You want the most explosive pump, then you want new investors to replace all the ones. On top of it, we're breaking through the last resistance 4 times already. It's only a matter of time now. Higher. To me, at this stage, this looks crazy good. And interesting is that we are exactly following this movement of this fractal. It's a playbook, essentially. You can see this candle. You can see what is happening. It's pretty much equal, 1-1. I'm bullish on this asset. I'm just holding. I think it's a great setup currently at this stage. We are not even at the previous all-time highs. We have 2 billion plus airdrop coming in 2 days, with people actually looking to outperform that blast airdrop, with people actually looking to outperform the blast tokens in the first place. And I was actually thinking on it in the first place because, you know, when Blur, the NFT marketplace founded by the founder of Blast, Pacman, was launching, it had a TGE, bunch of people got airdrop, they sold the airdrop, and 3 days later, the token was trading 3x higher. Because of it, I thought that something like this might be happening in the current market as well, especially that the conditions are different. We had like a bear market at that time, 100%. Right now, it's definitely better. And I do expect a reversal as well. I do actually think that the timing is quite genius because honestly speaking, I expect a reversal quite soon. At the same time, you have to understand there is an interesting statistic that from the stock market, the movement that they have on Monday is usually in direct discorrelation with the movement that they usually inflict on the rest of the week. Because they are usually taking out liquidity, they're gathering liquidity on Monday, and then they're using this liquidity for the movement that they want to inflict in the rest of the week. So if we are dumping on Monday, something interesting might actually be happening moving further as well. So I was thinking, should I be selling all of my airdrop right away, or maybe just sell a bit of it and just hold the rest, right? To sell it a bit later. And then I thought, if Blast as a token will do a 3x on the short term, what Indian Blast will actually do? Main meme on the chain will always outperform the main asset of the chain. Therefore, 3x movement on Blast, the main token, it will result in 5x, 6x, 7x, 8+x movement in Andy on Blast, the largest meme token on the chain. And that's how I came into the thought process where either way, with my airdrop, I will sell everything right away into Andy, because with Andy, if I will do it right away, I will outperform everything happening moving further with the main token. Because with Andy, I will outperform everything happening with the main token of the chain moving further. And you need to recognize to actually be bullish about these things. This is very bullish for the market maker to do in the first place. And it's actually very, very bullish that we have all the shoulders. And it's actually very, very bullish that we have all the holders who are emotional, who are hurt. This is also very, very bullish that we have people fading, that we have people not believing in the blast airdrop, not believing in the things that will be happening with Andy. True believers, they know exactly what will be happening. So it's a very, very interesting type of setup where a lot of things are blocking people from having exposure, which will serve as fuel for the upcoming pump. Do you understand what is actually fuel for the pumps? Do you think fuel is when everyone is talking about your token, and that means that there is a bunch of upside for your token? Of course not. Let me actually show you something. Fuel for explosive moves is a lack of conviction from others. The more they fade, the more it will reap. Painful capitulation incoming. Study Boink. Everyone was fading Solana and memes. You know what happened? Infinitely higher. And something I wanted to share from one of the holders. Guys, I just woke up. This is a message from today. I'm so fucking bullish. I'm so grateful to be in a setup like that. Literally everything aligns perfectly. This kind of setup is so rare for a trader. I can't believe now we are still only at 35 million, knowing crazy the risk-reward ratio. It's literally the kind of trade that may retire you with stupid crazy numbers that you can't even read. If we are really in a Memecoin bubble and we see inflows like in 2021, I don't know where we are headed, to be honest. There are reasons. Some people are whales and some people are not. And some alpha on the market from one of the channels that I actually like and follow myself. Capitulation time, boys and girls. I've been anticipating a week down like this for weeks. I'll be bidding very hard soon. This was this morning, so it's interesting to see that he's not bidding yet. For now, a little lower. Embrace the blood. Learn to see it as an opportunity. Jenny entries opening up. Personally, I don't want to be greedy during this dip as well. I'm already buying altcoins. I'm already setting up limit orders for some loans if we would be seeing some lower numbers as well. And I am entering positions already. On spot, 100%. Like right now, the prices that you can see currently, man, in 2 months, you would wish you would have these prices one more time. But most likely, what's interesting, most likely, you will never see them happening again. Because the craziness of what is happening needs to be understood. Alts are at the prices that they were, some of them, even in the summer, even in the bear market, even in the lows of October. This is just so crazy to see. Despite this fact, they already showed you the wave structure. You already can see what type of assets will be entering wave 3, or what type of assets ended the wave 3, so they have diminished returns moving further. You did not have clues like this back at the start of the whole run. Right now you have. You cannot just play this wrongly. You pretty much just have all the information. You just need to take it. You need to position yourself. You need to remove all the emotions. This is the time for generational entries. Like $500, $5K bucks that can be turned into hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions at this stage, with proper strategy to entering proper assets. One more time, in the current market, with so many assets and with people being scared, attention is very important. Therefore, influence is very important as well. People who are able to direct the attention on certain coins, on certain projects, they are very valuable at this stage. This influence, this attention is very valuable at this stage. Because while we will be reversing, people will not believe. More and more belief will be added over time, but initially they will not be believing. Therefore, they will be buying into the assets that they will be seen as safe, or the assets that someone would tell them to buy in the first place. You need to understand these things when you are planning. And sometimes, some assets that you would be entering, they will not be performing the most. Therefore, you would have to sit through your asset not performing in the first place. I was heavily thinking today what type of assets I can actually enter to make sure that they will be performing the first, Therefore, I can actually acquire more liquidity early on in this process to be able to rotate some things. Simple things, Ethereum betas such as Endo and Blast, Solana. Solana probably will be one of them. I actually bought one of the meme coins on Solana as well this morning. I added to my bag. It's at absolute bottom currently. I shared it in my Discord as well. Gaming, because gaming was the first to surge in October. This is a more riskier bet, but if this will play out, it will actually provide you with the largest returns. Things like Pepe probably should be surging up as well, along with the surge up with Ethereum, just because of the fact that they are always surging up. Because market makers on Pepe, they are making sure to show to the whole market that Pepe is a better asset to Ethereum. This is one more PSYOP into your bundle of PSYOPs on this market. To sum up the whole thing, I don't think we will be going lower. I don't care about price of Bitcoin at this stage. Ethereum probably, like, it definitely looks up to $4,000 at least, which should just send alts. Your alts, they are at the exact bottom currently. Most of the memes are overbought. The thing that has best risk reward and quality, because people will be focused on quality currently. They get burned on the memes, right? After all this pain, is Endo and Blast. This is something that I see. I do believe that there is a high chance we will have Blast season starting as well, because this is quality. This is not like dumping on retail. This is not narrative of a base of dumping on retail when retail comes. This is the narrative of real revenue, real products, real team, real devs. This is the narrative of real Web3 adoption. That's why I do think that things might be very, very interesting for Blast. We are in the buy zone. We are in the accumulation zone. I don't see alts going much lower from here. I do see 20% downside as max at this stage. I don't think that we will even be seeing that. We might get some capitulation week down just to liquidate longs, but we will see, because there are a bunch of shorts opened. And their goal is to make sure that a larger portion of people won't be able to make money on this market. A larger portion of people is shorting already. Get your counter trading bond in your hand and listen to it. Listen what it has to say to you. Counter trading bond is usually right. One more thing that I thought is quite interesting, because I was essentially the one who started to talk about new all-time high at the 1st of May, at the month of May. I was the first one. Couple weeks after that, several influencers started to talk about this as well. So they kind of picked this thing up, right? I was thinking maybe I was the reason that we actually had this dip, because following what crypto school is saying and my thought process as well, like, this dip is heavily manipulated. The only reason it is happening in such a discorrelation with stock market, in such a surge up on the stock market, is because a lot of people entered too much longs, and they just calculated themselves at their level. It's just pure math. We can dump this much, we can short this much, we will be making this much money. Maybe if people like me were less vocal, and it would not essentially transfer to largest influencers in this space, right? A slower amount of people would actually enter longs. Therefore, funding would be lower or even negative in the first place. Therefore, we would have surged up. Obviously, my channel is very, very small at this stage to be able to cause these type of movements, and a lot of people probably expecting for us to continue higher because we had a dip after this upside movement, but everyone definitely expected for us to go higher right after. But it's a very, very interesting type of thing that I'm just thinking from my end, that me being bullish and me sharing these things might have caused some changes in the market, and then it essentially started to grow as a flywheel, and it resulted in too much longs being opened, and it resulted in the way that market makers and manipulators decided to liquidate the market on the longs, because they were not able to push the assets up because everyone was just too bullish. They are quite flexible in the work as well, and I don't think that like there is something they're planning like for a large amount of time. There are some PSYOPs that I essentially shared with you that in some cases they can push the market that is heavily longing up a bit higher, just to give people this confidence that, oh, we're probably going higher, let me open some more longs. The way that I did, I had like $40,000 profit on big time, and then I opened Sui, I opened a bunch more longs, and I got liquidated and all of the things. I think exactly the same type is happening with shorters right now at this stage. But right now, my channel, because of this thing, because of the fact that all of this will be happening quite quickly, this reversal and the sentiment is just too bearish. I don't think that it will be able to influence the overall picture. I'm staying bearish, I'm accumulating the assets, I'm staying in my longs. I just de-risked some of my longs just in case. Thank you very much for watching this video. Stay bullish, and I will see you tomorrow.